Welcome back, my good friends, loved ones, new and old. It's time for American Lunchbox Podcast. What's up, guys?
What up, George? I'm sorry,
Yes.
I'm sorry. What's up, Battle?
What's up, Battle? Yeah, call it like you see it, brother. Call me like you see it, because that name will soon be going away. But that's another story for another podcast.
Oh.
So, what's going on, guys? How you guys doing?
Pretty good. Sorry about last week. I got cut off. I was the victim of some social media censorship by Skype, I would imagine.
That's what it was. Because, man, welcome back to you. A special welcome back because the last, 4 or 5 minutes of the last podcast, go back and jump on there, guys. If you haven't heard it or if you haven't seen it, go over to our YouTube channel, type in there, American Lunchbox Podcast, or go back and take a listen to the last 13 on 13. That's the podcast 13th on the 13th. Podcast 13 on the 13th. Go back and listen to it because he got hexed. He got something happen at the end and we lost contact. And all of a sudden, this picture came up him like he was like 3 years old or something, or 40 pounds lighter. I don't know. This picture popped up and some shit. So you guys got to check that out. But welcome back, Chris.
Thanks. I don't know how Tim got that picture, but I always assumed he was a stalker, so it's validated my worst instincts.
Well, you got to update. You got to update your Facebook security or something, man. I think that's part of the problem. It's too easy to hack into that shit.
That's it, man. But,
that might be a good segue into our first topic. What do you think?
Well, no, but first of all, we got to find out how you guys are doing. First,
okay.
How was your week, Tim? What's going on with you, brother?
It was interesting. I don't want to get into the reveal. I don't want to reveal too much, to protect the innocent, change the names, all that sort of thing. But long story short, it sounds like I'm going to be professionally working with you guys again. We won't say what
amateurly working with us.
I mean, we don't do shit for a living anyway, right?
This is the amateur hour right here. But professionally, we're going to be working for the on the. We're going to be on the same team again.
Cool.
Which is awesome.
Congratulations and welcome to the team.
Yes.
Welcome to the team. All right.
Told you he was a stalker.
You can't get rid of this dude, man. We were gone for like a few months and now he's back again. Remind me of the roaches that I gotta kill sometimes. Just keep coming back and shit. Keep coming back. All right. I'm just kidding, Tim. What's going on with you, Chris? How was your week, brother?
Pretty good. I had a really bad... I was doing good on my diet until I started doing really bad on it. So I think I kind of hit rock bottom, and now I'm starting to do good again.
Okay. All right. Well, you know what? Diets are tough things to show great self-discipline with. But if that picture that we saw last week is any indication of what you could look like, I want you to be inspired because that picture was a great picture. You guys got to go back and check out that freaking picture if you haven't seen it. It's a great picture of you, man. And of course, now that you talk about diets, man, we're gonna wish you a good luck on that because I know,
Thanks.
Man,
I need it.
That shit is tough. Well, you look great. You look like you're getting a lot of sun out at the beach. It's been hot.
Oh yeah, it's been real nice.
Yeah,
been real nice.
Well, listen, my week has been awesome. I got some great things done. As you know, always I'm working on business things and obviously working with you guys now. But just as a mental note and an episode 14. By the way, an episode 14 note. A couple of nights ago, as I'm sitting here, I didn't watch the whole game, but I did know when they won for sure because, out here in my hood, the fireworks and everything started going off and it dawned on me like, oh shit, the game. And we learned that the Dodgers are going back to the World Series. Mm-hmm. So Big up for the Dodgers, winning 3 games in a row over the Braves. I mean, what do you say to a Braves fan like now?
Well, I would say, at least you got the Falcons. It's not like they'd ever choke.
True. I mean, what about those Falcons? I mean, do they even exist?
They exist in the first half of the game.
Yeah. About
that play by Turner was, if anyone hasn't seen it, the third baseman on the Dodgers dove to get the guy caught in the rundown, out running towards home. As that happened, the guy from second tried to steal third, and he turns around and throws the guy out, and they get him out at third. One of the best plays I've ever seen. And I saw at the store, there was like a 90-year-old old-timey Dodgers fan. Might have been a Dodgers fan so long that he might have had the Brooklyn Dodgers hat at one point. And he said he's never seen that play before. He'd never seen anything like it.
Wow. Well, big ups to the Dodgers. Shout out to the Dodgers for giving us maybe 2 championships in 1 year, because we know that Lakers won. So if the Dodgers win, I don't know if this has ever happened before. I got to look this up.
Pretty rare.
And Tampa won the hockey, so whatever city wins this, I think gets 2.
That's true.
Wow.
It's rare, but it happens.
So they won the Stanley Cup.
Yeah,
Tampa.
I mean, it was like the basketball. It wasn't in front of anyone, but they won it.
There you go. But here's the more ironic part is that back in episode 2 of the podcast, we talked about sports not even being non-existent this year, and now look what the conversation is like here in episode 14. We're actually talking about the completion of seasons and championships, and we are seemingly excited about it. Not to mention, of course, what's going on with football. So, I mean, even though we're still in the COVID, just as a mental note, we're still moving forward in things, but there are some shining stars, some great things that are still happening.
Well, they also had fans in the stand in Atlanta, which I was really surprised to see.
Yeah, the World Series is going to have it too.
Yeah.
I saw
you can't have baseball playoffs with no fans.
No.
Yeah, but Tim, I got a good question for you.
Sure.
Now you know that we are in Dodger land here.
Yeah.
And I know that you are an Angels fan. Is that correct?
That is correct. Well, I grew up out towards Anaheim in Inland Empire area, so they were just closer. And when I was growing up as a kid, the Angels didn't play very well, so going to their games was really cheap, especially for a family of 4. So that's why I became an Angels fan. Going to LA was like, okay, that was a road trip, and they were expensive, and you couldn't afford them. So Angels, you can sit right behind home plate for $5, So.
That's right. I mean, even though they got the best player in the league, they still cannot get beyond 40 games. But
Yep.
that's another story.
Yep.
But I say that to say to Tim, I got a question for you. Considering that how things are so crazy around now, would you actually pay $75 that the Dodgers are offering people to come in and basically look at a drive-in movie of a big screen of the World Series? Would you pay $75?
No.
Chris, I know you ain't.
Hell no.
Cheap as you.
Now, if somebody invited me, I'd go. But if somebody invited me, I'd go. But yeah, no, I wouldn't pay $75 to sit in a parking lot.
What do you mean? Invited you like paid your way in, or invited you like? Yeah, of course.
Yeah, of course. So somebody paid for it, sure. We're having if we were having a party, we all chipped in or something and went in the same car. Okay, because it's $75 per car. So if y'all call,
well, you got to give the secret handshake.
Yeah.
In one hand, you take your wallet out. The other hand, you take your money out. Give it to the other person. They grab it. That's the secret.
And put your mask on at the same time.
And put your mask on at the same time. It's COVID time. But, okay, so I wouldn't pay it either. Now, the last time I went to a Dodger game, I had a great time. And that was a few years ago. And I remember saying to myself, much like what I say when I go to Disneyland, how much money they're making just on parking alone.
Yep.
If you count the spaces up, I think I calculated this in one particular rant I was having with someone over at work, that they were making like $1.5 million a day just on parking alone.
Yep.
Just on parking. Before you even step into the park and buy the hot dogs and hamburgers and pay your ticket and buy an overpriced gift for you to bring home, all of that, right as you're walking in, parking your car, they're making almost over $1.5 million a day just on that alone.
Oh yeah, me and my wife, we went to Disneyland just before COVID, and we got free tickets through work, and it was and I think we still end up spending $100, between parking, souvenirs, refreshments. I mean, yeah, those places are built to make money.
That's it.
If you want a deal, you could go to the Dodger dog section. The only thing you'd have to invest in is Kevlar.
Why would you say that? Is it that dangerous?
That's like what? That's like you pay the ticket and you get all the free hot dogs, but all the most hood people show up there. Oh, it's so fun.
Yeah, I made the mistake of wearing an Angels cap one time to a Dodger game, and somebody sat there and said something to the effect of, you better ditch that thing if you want to leave the parking lot with your teeth or whatever.
Bro,
My general experience is that most Dodgers fans are peaceful,
Yes.
but that those sections in the outfield are not.
No.
They're rowdy, and I don't mind that. But yeah, don't wear the Angels gear out there.
Plus, they don't serve alcohol in that section, so
Yeah, that would be a public health. That would be a public safety concern.
yeah, man. It's listen. Unfortunately, Dodgers got bad history. Much like the Raiders. Any of those teams that come out of LA. They are infamous for their fans being just a little over hyper. I mean, I don't even know what is over hyper, but they are fans just a little over hyper, which makes it dangerous. So, but yeah, so that's basically my week, man. We're gonna keep up with we're gonna do our best to keep up with the World Series. We know by the next time we talk again, we'll probably have some of the results of the games. Maybe we'll mention that. Unfortunately, back in episode 2, there was someone who was actually on the show who actually was more involved in sports, but he's such a punk. I'm not calling him names. When there were 4 of us, but I'm not going to give him any extra time on the show because he's such a punk that I'm not even going to mention his name.
He who shall not be named.
2. He shall not be named. The punk is what we're going to call him. But anyway, all right. So listen, as we move forward from all of what has been going on, there's been some other shit that's been going on, and I know you guys have seen the crack pipe. The crack pipe. Oh, wow. What does this mean, guys? What does the crack pipe mean? Please, somebody take over from me here and how this has now snowballed into big tech. I mean, what is going on now?
I mean, in my case, I see crack pipes every time I walk in the backyard, so it wasn't so shocking. But yeah, I would imagine it would be shocking for other people. Joe Biden's son with the laptop, the leaks, the hacked leaks or stolen or bought or forgotten about or whatever that showed not only emails referencing that Joe Biden and his son might have been milking foreign countries, including China, of millions of dollars for what in return, we don't know, but also the unfortunately exploitative pictures of his son engaged in various drug things, which will probably continue to leak until the election.
Now, Tim, is this good politics? Because they wait till the last 20 days. The last 20 days before the election is when everybody just drops all of the necessary bombs. What do we say? What do you say about the politics of the day? And is it just status quo? Is this what we should expect?
I think it's also too little, too late. I mean, it's like at this point, people are already doing early voting, or I've already mailed in my ballot. So at this point, it's like anything new that kind of comes out. It's like, does it really matter? People are already.
The debates too should be moved earlier if we're going to do this mail-in crap.
Yeah.
I'm saying crap because it's just last second, and it just doesn't make sense to have people debating over stuff that has already been voted on.
Yep.
Well, it has been a mess. It has been a mess, and honestly, I got to say from experience, man, and this is going to be tough for me to say, publicly at least, because my family unfortunately have had drug problems. In my family, it's run rampant, unfortunately, and so I've seen how drugs can mobilize and destroy the communication and not love, because love is always there, but it destroys the trust, and it could be a horrible, horrible thing. So when I see, a Hunter and in these situations, my heart goes out to him because of the illness that he has. But by that same token, on the political side, I know how damning it could be to Biden, the Democratic Party, and the election in general. and how serious could we take this? How does this, how do we equate, or how does this correlate the judgment of a president, the fact that he has a kid who unfortunately is on drugs? How does that even work? Why does that even work in today's politics? Who cares? We should be helping this boy. Why is this a big deal?
It's a big deal because it's a perfect encapsulation of all the things the media has not or will not look at, all in one story. For all the pointing and shouting, and we did it too, about what a piece of shit Trump could be on a personal level, and not saying he's any more of an angel before this coming out, but the fact is there's other problems our country has other than Trump, one of which is China, which this story is involved with. One of which is opioid addiction.
China.
One of them is one of this is the political corruption and stagnation that led to Trump being elected in the first place. So as much as it's maybe we shouldn't have put the town crier in charge of the country, but that doesn't mean that he didn't have things that were relevant to say. And maybe he is the rebound boyfriend of America, but Biden feels like the dirty ex of America. And this story perfectly encapsulates all the things that people don't want to talk about, and the problems we'll still have once the enemy of the villain portrayal of Donald Trump is gone from our consciousness. We will still have all the problems we had yesterday and before he even arrived, and that's what's the problem with this story.
And I agree, but there are some problems, unfortunately, that he brought to the table himself. He did bring some vegetables and some protein and some starch. He put something on that plate himself as well. And those things also are now encapsulated on top of all of what else those problems we're having as well, as far as China is concerned. And the question becomes is that did he help the situation, or did it basically implode on itself right now because of what's going on? Did it make it worse? You know,
well,
we talk about
that's the problem with the situation now, with all these stories that have come out, is that whoever wins the election at this point is going to be rewarded for bad behavior. So last time, where there was jubilation around Trump and less enthusiasm around Hillary, at this point, anyone who's voting for anyone is not very enthusiastic, I would imagine, about any of it.
True.
Well,
True.
you know,
So
I'll give you the fact, Chris, that Biden, you know, I mean, he's been in politics for years and years and years, and I'm sure he's, you know, got there's definitely some stuff about his son and, you know, his job that he had with the natural gas company or whatever in Ukraine that are kind of questionable. But isn't some of this evidence that's coming out, isn't it being put out there by Giuliani and his lawyers and Trump people, and there's a lot of, you know, there's definitely some questionable material that's coming out of this, where it's like, you're sitting there going, wait, they found some evidence on a laptop, supposedly, that was in a repair shop. I mean, some of this stuff I was reading about, just, I just said they're big red flags to me that just say this is bullshit. Unless there's something else that I missed.
Is not just that. The problem is that the media is not even so much as explaining the story in some cases, and in social media, they are blocking the story from being shared. So if something's bullshit, let's get it out into the open.
Agreed.
Right? We have no problem talking about that QAnon group and what things they have that are conspiratorial. It's been talked about in the mainstream news. Well, why can't we talk about this? It's a major story that's going to impact the guy who's probably going to be the president of the United States, if the polling is to be believed. And no one's asking him any questions, even about bombshells. Something's wrong here. Something's very wrong here.
Oh, no, I agree.
And Donald Trump going away won't fix that problem.
Yeah, I agree. The thing because I wanted to know, you know, well, I mean, Trump sat there and tried to bring it up during the debate. You know, he was asking him, you know, to sit there and talk about his son, and he just kept saying, oh, you know, that's been debunked. That's been debunked. It's like, well, talk about it, you know, because that's all I've ever heard from the media. Oh, it's all been totally debunked. It's all bullshit. And it's like, okay, well, if it's bullshit, then talk about it. You know, what was he actually doing? Why was he, you know, employed for this company with absolutely no credentials? You know, that's kind of a thing. Now, Trump is one to talk. I mean, because he's hired his friggin' kids to sit there and do stuff, you know, for the country, and pay them $300,000 or whatever to do absolutely nothing. So so that's not going to change my mind about Trump in any way, shape, or form. But you're right, Biden should definitely answer the questions. And I think one of the things that like Obama was criticized for was that he got a free pass from the military, or from the media. You know, he got a lot of softball questions, and I mean, mind you, he didn't say the stupid shit that Trump says, but he seems to have gotten a lot of very much a free pass, except for like Fox News, who I don't want to say kept him honest, but tried to criticize every single thing that he did. So,
right.
Well, here's the bigger question, then, guys. How much of this was prefaced? How much of this was a part of a bigger plan that his team, before
Whose
the
team?
debate, Trump's team, excuse me, before the debate had this information and was storing it away, and it was part of their plan to keep talking about it. Because if you go back to episode 12 of or 11 when we were talking about the debate, remember I said, quote, when did Hunter Biden become an issue, a topic on this debate? Why is this so important? This is what I said.
To answer your question, George, yes, it is planned, and they're openly saying what their strategy is, and their strategy is not too unsimilar to what happened last time with Hillary and WikiLeaks, which is they're going to wait until people come out and say certain little lies about this or that, and then they're going to drop the next thing that refutes those lies. So their plan is to drip it conveniently, and as soon as an error is made on the Democrat side, and they're going to drip the next bit of it. However, if we're talking about plans and what could affect planning, it's evidence that the FBI at least knew about this since last December, meaning if this information came out, Bernie Sanders may have been the nominee, meaning he may have been fucked over twice in a row. And should this information not come out, regardless of who likes Trump or who doesn't, Trump may also be fucked like Bernie was fucked. And the question that I have is, how come they're comfortable fucking these guys, but not the Biden Hillary? Hillary kind of got fucked as well, honestly. But
yeah, she did.
Why is it that everyone's protecting this guy Biden?
Well, it's evident because they see Trump in the last 4 years be the villain, the heel, and they have what they're calling now a social media. It's a social responsibility to stop this travesty in politics. This is how they're looking at it. And so they're using the powers of today. They're using their powers of today, not being even concerned about what could happen tomorrow. Because whatever happens tomorrow doesn't matter, because it's about what's happening right now. Right. Which takes us now to conversation to big tech. Well, Twitter.
Yeah. And like you're saying with that is that Twitter and FBI, these guys are doing this to quote unquote protect democracy. Just like I said, I was upset with Trump for lying because I want to know the truth. Democracy doesn't need to be protected by a small few.
That's right. And so as a result of that, Twitter now, Facebook, and now Google are all on Republican shit lists. And because they are now fucking with federal laws, it gives Congress and Senate, which is Republican dominated majority, the power now for a little brief time to make them an example. So now you see Google antitrust laws. They're gonna bring in the Twitter, the CEO of Twitter, to talk to the Senate to find out why they are using their what would be, I forget what the article was. Maybe you guys.
It was the New York Post article that they banned and they banned it from being shared publicly or privately and shut down some accounts, including the White House press secretary. So they banned the link from being shared, but it was a link to a major publication, one that is tabloid-like in its presentation, which is kind of hilarious at times, but also does have editors and people that can be held liable, unlike these big tech places, for making editorial decisions.
So let's talk about this for a second. When the internet was young, an infant, a young baby back in the early 80s, because Congress was not, no one understood where this was going to go. They allowed the tech companies to be able to move in a way that protected them from being able to be say they gave him free reign. You got to help me with this. How did this work? How did it work?
So it was I think it's Section 230 of the Communications Act. I think it was talked about for a while, and then they came up with this policy, and I believe it was in the mid-90s, and it basically says the spirit of it was that you can't be responsible for what someone says on your comment board.
Right.
Meaning, if you make a website and then I post a bunch of let me try to rephrase this so it doesn't get made into a gif of me later. If someone who was a bad actor posted KKK material on your message board, that cannot be used against you, because in that case, you would be treated more like a phone utility company than you would be a publisher, and you wouldn't be held liable as a publisher. But part of that deal is that you kind of stay the fuck out of a business, other than having a set, consistent, which seems to be the problem here, some sort of policy to police. Yeah, we're not going to have porn or hate or stuff on my message board, but I'm also not going to be blocking large sections of ideologies and promoting others.
So basically, it's a free speech thing. That's what it sounds like to me. It's basically giving the internet the ability to have free speech and not limiting them, but by also being unbiased, which is the key word here, in regards to politics. In other words, you can't decide one morning that you're not going to allow this particular ideology to be heard on your platform. Well, okay, there were no major platforms back then. There was nothing there other than just an idea, and now we have what they call big tech. So what's happening now is that because Twitter is stopping the conversation or stopping the download or stopping the publishing of certain articles in regards to Biden, Congress now, particularly the Senate, is holding them to task because they're saying, wait, we're giving you this free pass. And now, because we're giving you this free pass, you have to let it out. You cannot decide today that you're not going to allow this. Right. And the Republicans are pissed the fuck off, and they should be.
Yeah, and it's also not something that could just, because these companies are so powerful, and it's not just one side that could get it. Once you make this law, that law, these sort of rules, these rules and these major tectonic amounts of power that could be wielded against anyone for any reason. For instance, when Trump was sick, as much as it was distasteful, there were people saying they hope he would die, but that's completely legal in the it's completely legal in the First Amendment.
I'm sorry, I was snapping at my dogs. Yeah, that was it. Yeah.
Okay, over in podcast land, someone's left hand went up in the air once that comment. You got to jump over to the YouTube station to find out exactly who said that. But you know the Iceman. You know who the Iceman is. That's all I'm going to say. Go ahead, Chris. Go ahead.
Well, I disagree, because it's not an incitement of violence. It's just saying you wish you would die, which is okay. That's your opinion. It's gross, but I'd rather have it out there than not, I suppose. And the same things that the right is currently complaining about have been used to take down postings that originate from the left as well. We've also seen things where Reddit has taken down, say, what was called R the Donald, which was the right thing, but then they also, just to have the illusion of being moderate, also took down some left-wing things. Like one was called Chapo Trap House. So it dings both sides, and we've seen that the speech codes in Europe have often done the same thing. They were made against the far right, but then they also hit the left. So once you start messing with this stuff, it just never goes well for anyone.
Exactly. Right. So then what do we do? So the Republicans are saying right now, this will be a moment in time or a moment in history where the American people need to get the information, but you guys on your platforms are stopping it from happening. But
well, also, George, on that one, let me just refresh on that. You can also blame advertisers for that too, because I think that was the crux of it, of why that kind of started, is because I think somebody had some like Nazi stuff or neo-Nazi stuff or whatever on their YouTube channel, and YouTube didn't say anything about it, and it was a monetized channel. And some advertiser sat there and said, "Wait, I don't want my stuff being associated with this." So Google went hardcore, started developing automated tools to sit there and get rid of stuff and start blocking people, start demonetizing people, and really going to task with them. So now people that are like you and I, who are sitting there, just exercising our free speech, if we say something that's mildly offensive, we run the risk of being taken off or never being able to be monetized or anything like that. So. So I think you can almost blame the advertisers for this as well.
This video could never be monetized because we used the word Nazi. That word is not even if you're saying I hate Nazis. Why
are you guys saying that shit then? You keep saying it then. Stop saying it.
Because I'm hoping the rules will change after this next week.
Don't use my money. Don't use my money for y'all because you want some rules to change. Change the shit on your own channel. Well, put that shit on
if you say I hate a particular fascist ideology in the 1930s and 40s based in Germany.
Oh my.
But Tim brings up another point, is that while the people on the ground floor of these companies are underpaid, young, millennial or Gen Z, and oftentimes lean pretty left, the people who own the companies are thinking about the money.
Yeah.
And
True.
They're hoping to circumvent whoever is in power in any government at the moment, whether they be left or right. And they want to keep this money train going because Google has like 80 to 90% of all online advertising revenue or something ridiculous. Like that's what the antitrust accusations are accusing.
Yeah. And I want to be in place. I want to have a business in place. So when they decide that they have to break them all apart and they're going to have to start starting new businesses, I want my business to be right there in place to get some of that. I don't know if you guys are old enough. Tim, you may be. I don't know about you, Chris. When AT&T, had to split their proceeds up, and we started getting these Pac Bells, Pac Central, Pac South, Pac this, Pac that, and everybody. That's where MCI and all of these other companies came from in order because they had to break up the monopoly. So when Google has to break up its monopoly, I'm hoping that that my company will be right there to be able to reap the benefits from this, because it's gonna happen. It's gonna happen.
Google has a lot, and I think they offer a good service, but they have a lot. So yeah, when I was saying before 80 to 90%, I think that's talking about search engine specifically. So, but they also have browser Chrome, and they also have YouTube, #1 video app, which they bought out. Mm-hmm. But all of these are good services. And it's just they have all of it.
You have a lot of power. It's a lot of power. It's like if you search for something, it's like Google's going to sit there and control what you get to see. And it's like anybody that's if Google is or if there's an advertiser that's advertising on Google, of course they're going to come up #1 on the search engine. Or if Google also, it's not just search engines, but they sit there and they have tracking software that they sell, and they embed with companies. So if you've got a company that's a subscriber to Google services, they're probably more likely to get ranked in the search engine higher. So yeah, they have it's a lot of control and it's a lot of power. But so George, I think you need to come up with a new search engine name. I mean, we'll just call it Battle or something. Have you searched Battle?
We got to put something in place so that when that funnel opens, the bottom end of the funnel, because it's top end. I'm talking about the bottom end of that. When that bottom funnel opens, we just want to be able to just have it rain like we at the strip club. You see, we just want it to rain money, just rain. We just want just rain. You know what I'm saying, y'all? Y'all don't know what I'm saying, obviously. But it's okay. It's okay. It's okay. It's okay. It's okay. It's okay, guys.
George wants to be a baby Google. There we go.
That's it. Why not? I'll definitely be. I'll take an embryo of Google. Right. Absolutely. But here's the other part, though, guys. Here's the other part that we have to also discuss, because we know that we're talking what's going on in the United States, but this also is going to reflect back internationally as well.
Right. That's a great point.
How does this play internationally? All of these things that what's going on now with both Trump and the antitrust and all of these things.
Okay, well, in Europe, they actually started leading the way and dinging these companies because the EU has dinged, I believe it is Google, for $5 billion in fines over this sort of stuff. There's also been the European privacy things, then kind of went downstream to start to apply to us. I mean, also, there's the fact that there's a lot of people around the world getting fucked with by China that are not powerful enough to really stand up to them. And they are hoping that someone will. So this story is kind of like, oh man, is the U.S. going to now be just getting slapped around by China? Because we're the only one big enough to kind of stand up to them. So that's kind of the concern about the Biden side of the story. And hopefully he was just trying to get a little something from them and will stand up to them. But whatever. Moving on. There's also the fact that... I'm sorry, George. My mind went blank. Go on.
Oh, that's okay. Because here's the thing.
Data overload.
Data overloads. Too much shit on your mind. But listen, here's the thing. I'm going to say to you today, and I think this is true, that Twitter, Facebook, and Google doesn't care because we're in a moment. They're willing to double down and continue to do what they're doing because we are 19 days, 17 days out of the election, and they're just willing just to pay the money. They don't care. Right. They'll show up. It's not like they're going to say, "Oh, these guys are scaring me. Oh, we're going to change this." No, they're going to double down.
There's certain publishers that have been accused of doing that now, of putting out false information and just paying the defamation lawsuits after the election.
Just pay it. They're just going to pay it. They're just going to pay it because there's not going to be.
Then you have the problem of corporations and things that supersede governmental power and just feel like they can get away with things because they can.
Because they can. Because here's the fact: there's no criminal law actually being broken. This is all based on what a congressional trial, and the only thing that will happen, of course, will be monetary retribution for their actions. We all have seen this in corporations. They just pay the money, right, and they move on.
That's one of the bad things about some of these papers being owned by big corporations. On one hand, they have the money to fight. If they are the ones doing the good journalism, they have the money to fight any backlash that comes from the good journalism. But if they're doing bad journalism, there's really no way as a smaller person or smaller organization to ding them and get away with it, unless you have significant backing and are willing to take it up to like the Supreme Court if necessary.
And all they have is they have the trifecta, what I call the trifecta. And I teach this. I've taught this to my students, and when I was teaching in college, and I'll tell you guys, there's three things you need to do anything successful. Three things, okay, in my opinion. And I've tested this, and these are the three things that you will need. I call it the trifecta. The first thing you need is money, okay? If you have enough money, you'll be able to get what you need to get done. The second thing you need is time. If you have time and money, right, now you are well forward in your efforts. But the last thing you need is energy. So you need time, money, and energy. And when you have all three of those things in abundance, you can do anything on this planet. And that's exactly what Twitter has. It has time. It can wait as long as you want to wait. It has money. And for all intents and purposes, it has all the energy because people are agreeing with them. Tons of people. The Democratic Party is not coming out and saying, "Oh, guys, oh, Twitter, thank you. Oh, you guys, come on." No, the Democratic Party is saying, "Yay, Twitter, go for it," because it's in their favor. So they have already they have everything that they need in order to push this agenda forward, and they'll wait until the time comes after the election and just bite the bullet. And maybe they'll pay it, maybe they won't, because by that time, my hope is, of course, is that all of this shit is changed up.
Well, you know? I guess the concern that some people on the right have is that, regardless of Trump's antics, if it's the case that Joe Biden wins the election, isn't that just validation for all of this behavior, for all of this censorship? And are we just going to have 4 years of these guys running wild? Or, I mean, I know the Dems are threatening them with the antitrust stuff as well, but the free speech thing seem to be in agreement that there should be hate speech codes and stuff that's maybe happening in Europe, but just not in the U.S. Constitution when it comes to the First Amendment.
Well, it is an interesting question. Can you have it both ways? I mean, if the internet social media companies are sitting there saying, "Oh, we can't possibly censor all the millions of videos and millions of tweets that come out each day. We can't possibly censor that." So we should be able to have total freedom to sit there and, we should be able to have this hands-off approach. But now they're coming out there and censoring, censoring people, even though I may not agree with what Trump and his administration may be putting out there. I might agree that it's false information, but yeah, it does bring up a good point of, can you have it both ways? And you can, and maybe in this case you can't.
They've opened up such a bag of words. This is like Frankenstein's monster, this social media stuff. And there needs to be, instead of some lawsuits here and there which cost everyone money, there needs to be something that's consumer facing, that's protectionist, like an internet bill of rights or something like that. I just don't see any other way. These companies are just getting more aggressive and more powerful.
By the way, today, preparing for the show, I was sitting there, I went on Facebook to sit there and try to update my privacy settings to see, okay, what can I, if I don't want them selling my information, or if I don't want them, taking some of my data, what can I do? And it's like, it was, click here, then click there. Okay, now go to this page, now go to that page. And it's almost impossible. And after I, clicked on everything to try to prevent, people from looking in on my post or saying anything bad, it's like, at the end of the day, I still can't prevent them from selling my information. There was nothing.
And that's it. And really, they won't show you everything they have on.
No, not at all.
They're showing you enough to keep the government off their back enough so that they could keep the advertising thing going, which the profit motive is the main one of the main parts of this.
Well, Tim, I'll tell you, just like I tell other folks, there's a price to pay for everything, Tim. Yeah. If you want to see the game, you got to pay the ticket to get in. You can't participate and then complain about it when it comes to what they are getting from you. It's a give and take situation, because you are participating in this privilege, which you are subscribing to, because you could shut down your Facebook, you could shut down your Twitter, instead, but because you are subscribing to it, which is fine, then you have to pay the price. And the price right now is your freedom of privacy. Just like if you type in your phone number into Google, you're going to see that someone else prior to the internet also paid the same price. You're going to see your before the internet even started. Before, you're going to see your phone, you're going to see addresses way back to you when you were a little boy. How's that possible? Because they've all been playing the same game. It's just now with the internet. But before, it was with big companies selling your information. It's a part of how they play the game.
Well, part of this, for us specifically, not necessarily the younger generation, which we could get into the effects that this is. Look, I've talked before about how my generation was hit at a coming-of-age moment with the power of the internet. And all of the negatives that can entail, while we also had a president in the White House who was getting BJs. I mean, it was incredibly shaping for my generation. And we could also talk about the younger generation who's grown up without even having the choice of what this is. This is just part of life. This is not something that got pushed on you. So they kind of understand all this, I think, better than us. But one thing is that my and your generation and the older generations above that were given something and said, what a cool little thing, but didn't fully understand it. So everyone kind of got swept away. This happened so quick. The media center went from liberal New York, but tough New York, to not even San Francisco, but this little bubble of Silicon Valley, which no one knows what the fuck it is. And it happened so quick. And there's been no legislation to protect people against it, because when the senators interview the people from the tech companies, the senators don't even understand the technology.
Yes, absolutely.
So we're in a very vulnerable moment in history in which the future is here, but no one's really ready for it. Yeah. And no one's been taught from a young age how to protect against it. I mean, you're talking about we don't teach people banking in grammar school. We don't teach people this shit either.
That's right.
Fair point.
That's right. But I would venture to say that it's going to be second nature. It's going to be second nature to my granddaughter, who's 1 year old. It's going to be her generation maybe, because they won't be concerned about the things that we're concerned about. They're going to be concerned more about the protections, probably, because we're still in the hype. We're still in the moment. We're still enjoying it. We still see the benefits of it, and we're still willing to pay the price.
It very much reminds me of the 1970s drug culture in which a lot of people's friends didn't make it, and they got dinged for reasons they didn't understand, and people started dropping. And the generation before that with the free love leading to AIDS. I mean, there are just situations that are bound for doom, but we don't understand what they are yet.
Yeah.
Because we don't understand fully what we're dealing with yet. And what I'm interested in is the people who are coming of age right now and dealing with the internet and how much peer pressure is involved, and having someone like Donald Trump in the office who is the master of Twitter.
That's right.
What would that be like to see? The fact that this social media is so powerful, so much so that the guy who's the best at it is the leader of Earth. Yeah.
And that's when we have conversations with my 13-year-old daughter about it. And I talk to her, and you know, she has a very, very straight opinion about it. You know, I'm not going to speak for her, but I'm going to say that she understands it, and she is all in it. You know, when we were talking about that whole George Floyd thing she had, you know, it was because it was live on the internet, and she doesn't look at, you know, she doesn't look at TV. Right. Kids don't look at TV anymore. I mean, when the last time, I mean, she could care less about TV. She has a TV in her room, she doesn't turn it on, it's unplugged. I had to get rid of the cable box because there was no point in having a cable box with a TV on the wall, just like the one here. She don't look at that. She looks at her phone, and she looks at her laptop, and she gets all her information and source from there, whether it be negative or positive, because we've gone through some things with negativity in regards to this, where we have to learn self-discipline when it comes to certain things, because we have to be careful and safe. So some of it I had to take away from her.
Yeah, I used to think that the younger generation, the Gen Z, was, no offense, I thought they were a bunch of pussies. But now that I'm learned more about what the effects of this are on the mind, and what it is like growing up with the fact that everyone in the class is on it, and the fact that if you have a bad day, that could be relived forever. I have not completely, but I've done a course correction. I've turned around on this and said that I now understand that why they're so upset about it, because some of these things like online bullying are real to them. They're not real to us because we didn't have to grow up with it, but they are real to them.
It's very.
I don't know
real.
what the solution is. I don't know what the solution is. That doesn't take away people's rights. But I understand, and I'm trying to understand, where in the past I was just like,
yeah, it's real. I mean, yeah, I remember when you used to have a bully in the playground, but you can go home in your room and feel safe.
Right.
Remember that? You didn't like them, but at least when you got home, you know, you could go in your room and you could play with, we used to call those introverted people or something. They were afraid to go outside. But now, everything, I mean, you cannot avoid it, because not only is it in your home, it's in your living room, it's on your phone, it's on your television. You have total access to wherever there's electronic. There's total access to what just happened on the playground. It's just what happened right now, and now you're going to be reminded of it.
Right.
Constantly. It used to be that when you went back to your high school reunion, maybe someone would see you and say, "Wow, Ma, how much have you changed?"
Right.
But now, forget about it. Your high school reunion is going to have video of you.
Oh, that's exactly it.
Happened?
Yep. Yeah, I think we were at a Thanksgiving dinner one time, and my one of our relatives was sitting there filming. You know, just sitting there filming us. And I thought we were having a private conversation. I thought we were just goofing off with the family. Next thing I know, the thing's on Facebook. I'm like, what the fuck? You know, why is that thing on there? You know, now it's like, you know, now I got to take it down, or I got to worry about, you know, who's going to say what. It's like I got to worry about prospective employers looking at stuff. You know, I'm not saying anything bad, but it's like, you know, maybe it's embarrassing, maybe it's silly or whatever. But, you know, I don't want that stuff on there. When you and I, you know, we sit there, we do independent, you know, movies or videos or whatever. You know, whenever we put somebody on camera, we got to sign it. We got to have them sign a release. You know, saying that we have the right to use their image, right to use their voice or whatever. Now it's like anybody with a camera can just sit there and, you know, start photographing people and start videotaping folk and just put it out there on the internet and be out there for the world to see.
That's true.
So yeah, there's a good.
And it's from a young age being interfaced with major corporations. And psychological fuck job that happens here is that your data is their data, and you are the product of them from a young age, which we don't think about. We are not we are the products of this. We are not just the consumers of this.
Yeah, I don't know if you watched the show Adam Ruins Everything, but he did a segment on this where he's talking about the price of our being able to use Facebook and Google and all that for free, where they're data mining us and selling all our data to advertisers. If we actually got charged to use Facebook, where we didn't have to worry about our data being sold, we're worth about $12 a piece to each of these groups. $12.
So if you paid $12 a month or a year, you'd have technically that would be the price of all this privacy violation. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah.
Interesting.
Would you be willing to pay? I mean, if you pay for Spotify, let's say you get like regular Spotify, with the ads and all that, you got to deal with the ads. But if you go Spotify Premium, you don't have to deal with the ads. Is that going to be that? Could that be the next model where it's Facebook Premium? Yeah, I'm sure they would. I'm sure they would.
Having your data mined, that might feel worse.
So that takes us basically to the conclusion of all of this. This whole conversation. We are looking right now at the golden goose who lays the golden eggs. Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, Snapchat, all of these companies provide us a certain level of entertainment. We've given them the ability, we've given them content freely for them to be able to validate us, the golden goose. As we sit here and stab the golden goose, we realize, of course, that for us, we are just as victim, because at the end of the day, I'm going to jump on Facebook in a second and I'm going to try to figure out how to market this for us so that we could get more clicks, so we could get, see what I'm saying? So, it becomes this cultural, societal type ritual that is necessary for anyone at this point to be able to call whatever product or whatever service that they have, quote unquote, successful. This is the only way to do it. So even though we are stabbing the golden goose, we have to acknowledge that they are providing something for us that we cannot deny at this point. We can't deny it. We can try to reform it. We can try to understand it better. But at the end of the day, what would we be without the internet now? What would we be without big tech now? Where would we go? And I would say, okay, fine. I can go back to the Britannica Encyclopedia. I can go back and get a Britannica. Fuck it. You know what I'm saying?
Call you on the cell phone.
Listen, I can go back and get a phone book. I can find one somewhere. I don't know where, but I can find a phone book.
Go back to Thomas. Go back to Thomas Guide instead of Google Maps.
I can go back to Thomas Guide.
There you go.
I don't have a problem with it. I can call my travel agent instead of booking my shit online. I can get an antenna for this TV instead of having it connected to the internet. I can go back, but who else is willing to go with me?
Right.
Come on, guys. Who's gonna go with me?
Well, I'll give you two quick examples of that, George. That's a great point. In the beginning of the year, I figured, let me detox from all the smartphone stuff, get a flip phone. And there are challenges. There are definitely ways that I was no longer in touch with people. I could be in touch with people in certain ways, but not others. It was limiting. It was a good experiment, and it was a good way to detox. So I appreciate the thing. But what it was even worse than that was about 10 or 15 years ago when I went completely without a phone. And no one could get in touch with me in a world where everyone gets in touch. And when people would see me, they would curse me out. Because now I was putting them in a position to not be able to get in touch with me. So it's just that we're evolving. Yeah, there has to be some sort of protection put in because we're here, the future's here, and we can't fight it in some ways. But maybe there's some ways in which we can make it not so fucking dystopian.
Yeah, what about you, Tim? You gonna come with me?
I think it'd be a good experiment, though. I'm
building an ark out in my driveway. I'm building an internet ark. Who's gonna join me? Come on, Tim, you with me?
I like my.
He's building his own ark in his driveway.
I'm building my man cave. Very, very shortly. for those of you that haven't noticed, there's some distractions here in the background with my family. I'm the only one here that doesn't live alone, so there are some distractions. You'll hear my dogs, you'll hear somebody making pasta or something in the background. So I'm trying to work on trying to get my own little man cave down under the house there. So we're working on that to make it a little bit more professional.
Now you know where to send the hate mail.
Right.
That's it.
Send it to
Attention, Tim's Man Cave.
The Iceman gets hate mail.
But I did
The
that.
Ice Cave.
Nice.
Tim's making the Ice Cave.
The Ice Cave. Yeah, I tried for a little while myself to try to go without cable for a while because it was just too expensive, and I said, okay, can I just go without? Just do the internet, just do Netflix, just do Amazon, whatever. And I was actually doing really well for a while. I didn't miss it. I didn't miss having to watch the commercials. The only thing I couldn't live without was the sports. I was like, I need to watch my Ducks, I need to watch my Angels, I need to watch whatever, and I couldn't. It's hard to get that on the internet because they've got such a monopoly on it.
Absolutely. But listen, I got some rotary dial phones in the garage. If you guys want to, anyone who wants to out there in podcast land, anyone out there who wants to join me and leave big tech, give them the middle finger, tell them fuck them, let's go. We're going to go back to the primitive ways. We're not going to be a part of it, because of what they're doing with Biden. If we want to go back and do all of that, I got some rotary phones. I got some landlines. I got some fax machines, And for those of you all who are listening who have no idea what I'm talking about, this message is not for you because you're too young. But go look up the word fax machine. Go look up the word Britannica dictionary or encyclopedias. You've never seen them before because they don't exist.
Oh, I got one, George. After instead of sending us likes or subscribing, please call our 800 number so you can get more information.
That's right. That's right. We'll send it COD.
And if you want to get real up and close and personal, call the 1-900 number.
Call the one, or just hit me on the pager. Hit me on the sky. Hit me on the pager. Don't use any codes. Just put in your number. And let me know if you're with me or not, because my pager is on.
George, if you had problems getting pulled over by the cops, where you put a couple pagers around that belt, you'll be in big trouble.
I'd be big trouble there, and they'd be like, "What is that? Is that new technology?"
You'll trigger some old forms of discrimination if you put those pagers.
This was back when Rodney King got his ass whipped. Hold on, I think he was wearing a pager.
Jesus. I think I'd make a great YouTube video. Try to go a week with it without with like 80s tech.
You couldn't do it. I'm telling you couldn't do it. You couldn't do it if you wanted to. But
I'll say you should do it. You should do it because it would teach you a lot.
Listen, I'm telling you, bros, I love you guys, but most people don't even know how to plant a flower or a bush, man. I love plants. Most people don't know how to root a plant. Most people don't know how to buy what soil to buy. Most people don't even know how to
tell you how.
So if they can't even put a plant in a pot, they're not going to be able to go without the internet.
Right.
It's like, so forget about it, man. Forget about it. But you know what? It's a good conversation to have, though.
Yeah.
About the golden goose, and we could, like I said, we could be critical of it, and it's important that we do. It's important that we fix it. It's important but it's here. We can't do shit about it.
Right.
And if something happens, where it goes out or something happens, we're all up shit creek without a paddle. We're all up shit creek, and then we're helping. We're trying to help other people to figure out. I don't know. You know how it is. Somebody's gonna call you, say, Chris, your mother's. What's going on with the internet? Okay, is it something I could do? Everybody. It would just be a disaster. So let's learn how to fix this shit and get to another place, guys. Hey, it's been a great show, guys.
Awesome show.
Any shout outs for this show? Chris, what's your shout out for today?
Yeah, I'll give a shout out to if you go on Netflix and there's a show called American Vandal, 2 seasons. First one's funnier than the second. The second one's a little more dramatic, but they both kind of handle the same topic, and they're like high school dramas, but they're about this Gen Z who grows up with the internet, and the show fully understands the influence and effect of the internet on young people better than anything else I've seen. So not only is it funny and entertaining and interesting, it's also right up the alley we've been talking about. And I'll give you the premise for the first season, first episode is some student has drawn dicks all over the teachers' cars, and they're now handling it as if it's a true crime documentary. Professionally edited and told as if it was something you'd see on A&E, but it's about a guy who drew dicks all over the teachers' cars. So it's a whodunit.
And what's the name of the show again?
It's called American Vandal. There's 2 seasons.
American Vandal. Okay, we got to look that up. Okay, shout out to American Vandal then.
Nice.
All right, what's that one too? Any shout outs for you?
A shout out to my new coworkers. You know, how's that? You know, I'll see you guys. I'll see you guys on Monday. How's that?
Oh man. Well, you won't see me on Monday. Yeah, exactly. Because
I'll see somebody on Monday.
I'm gonna move your second monitor into my room, and I'm gonna take your keyboard and shit. So,
thanks.
You know, no, I'm just kidding. All right, well, hey, Tim, as always, man, thank you guys, man, and Chris,
thank you.
Tim, welcome aboard again. And,
thank you, sir.
You know, we've been together, man. I mean, for a long time, guys, and I must admit, I've enjoyed every moment, guys. Thank you guys again for a great show, episode 14.
Woo!
Episode 14, you guys. It's American Lunchbox Podcast, and we're out of here, guys. Peace.